secret rituals, pentagrams, blood, demons. We've all seen this version of Satanism in horror movies, metal album covers, and late-night documentaries that promise to reveal the truth. But what if I told you that, for most of history, almost no one actually called themselves a Satanist? That the word Satanism was usually a weapon, a label used to attack enemies, control people, and create fear? Today we're going to walk through the real history behind Satan, Satanism, and the movements that claim that name in the modern world. From the Satanic Panic of the 1980s to the political activism of the Satanic Temple, this story is way more complicated than movie stereotypes. Stay with me to the end, because how we talk about Satanism says a lot about religion, power, and identity in our world today. If you're new here, welcome. If you enjoy deep dives into religion, history, and the occult, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It really helps more people find this kind of content. Now, let's rewind the story. From horror stories to satanic panic, in the 1980s and 90s, a wave of fear swept across parts of North America and Europe. News headlines warned about satanic cults. Talk shows featured victims of ritual abuse. Some people claimed that hidden covens were sacrificing children, murdering people in forests, and using subliminal messages in music to control minds. This era is now known as the Satanic Panic. Police investigated supposed satanic ritual murders. Parents were told their kids were being brainwashed through heavy metal or Dungeons and Dragons. And in the middle of all that fear, real people were put on trial, accused of things that later turned out to be completely unproven. The accusations alone destroyed reputations, careers, and families. But here's the key point. This wasn't new. If you look at Christian history, you'll see a pattern. Whenever the church wanted to attack a certain group, heretics, outsiders, or people who believed differently, they were often accused of worshiping the devil. So, to really understand Satanism, we need to step back and ask, where does Satan even come from? The birth of Satan, from adversary to cosmic villain. The word Satan comes from Hebrew. In the Hebrew Bible, what Christians call the Old Testament, Satan simply means adversary, accuser, or opponent. In the book of Job, for example, the Satan appears as a figure who questions Job's loyalty and challenges God to test him. But in the original context, this isn't necessarily the red devil with horns and a pitchfork. It's more like a role, the challenger, the prosecutor. There is no fully developed devil figure ruling over hell in the Hebrew Bible. That image comes later. By the time we get to the era of Jesus and the New Testament, many Jews had been influenced by apocalyptic ideas, a worldview that sees history as a cosmic battle between good and evil, light and darkness, with a final day of judgment. Some scholars think contact with Zoroastrianism, an ancient Persian religion with a strong dualism between good and evil, helped shape this kind of thinking. In the Gospels, Satan becomes much more personal and concrete. He tempts Jesus in the desert. In the book of Revelation, he leads a rebellion of angels and is cast down. When the Hebrew word ha-Satan was translated into Greek, it became diabolos, from which we get devil. Over time, early Christian thinkers read Satan back into older stories too. The serpent in the Garden of Eden, that became Satan in disguise. This idea isn't in the original Genesis text. It's a later interpretation. As Christian theology developed, the devil became the personification of evil, the enemy of God, the tempter of humanity. Islam also develops a powerful devil figure. In Islam, the word shaitan can refer more broadly to evil spirits, but the personal devil is usually called Iblis. the one who refused to bow to Adam out of pride and was cast out. So by the Middle Ages, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all have some concept of a devil-like being. But here's what's crucial. You still don't really see people who call themselves Satanists. The accusation of Satan worship is almost always coming from the outside: heretics, witches, and servants of the devil. Throughout medieval and early modern Europe, the church frequently labeled certain groups as satanic. Not because they worshiped the devil, but because their beliefs were seen as dangerous. Take the Cathars in southern France in the 12th and 13th centuries. They believed the physical world was a prison created by an evil power, and that the true God was beyond this world. In their theology, the world was a battlefield between good and evil, ideas influenced by older Gnostic and dualist traditions. But they did not worship the devil. In fact, they saw him as the enemy to escape. Still, to some in the Catholic Church, these ideas were so threatening that the Cathars were branded as tools of Satan. Then come the witch hunts. From the 15th to the 18th century, thousands of people, mostly women, were accused of being witches in league with the devil. Books like the famous Malleus Maleficarum, The Hammer of Witches, argued that witches had made pacts with Satan, flew through the night, and had sexual relations with him. Many of these ideas were actually quite extreme and even unorthodox compared to official church teaching, but they still helped fuel trials, torture, and executions. In the Islamic world, we also see some groups accused of devil worship, like the Yazidis, because of misunderstandings about one of their central angelic figures. Over and over, we see the same pattern: Satanism as a label used to dehumanize and condemn. Not as a name people chose for themselves. That doesn't truly begin to change until the 19th century. Satan as symbol, rebellion, knowledge, and protest. As Europe became more secular after the Enlightenment, something new started to happen. Satan began to be used as a symbol rather than a literal enemy. Romantic poets like Byron and Shelley, who were politically radical, saw the devil as a kind of heroic rebel against unjust authority. They were inspired in part by John Milton's Paradise Lost, where Satan is portrayed in such a dramatic and defiant way that some readers read him almost like a tragic hero, even though Milton himself was a Christian. In this era, Satan could represent rebellion against religious oppression, freedom of thought, individualism, and desire. Later, occult and esoteric movements picked up these ideas. The Russian occultist Helena Blavatsky, founder of the Theosophical Society, reinterpreted the story of the serpent in Eden. Instead of seeing the serpent as the villain, she sees it as a bringer of knowledge, giving Adam and Eve access to spiritual wisdom. To her, Satan, or Lucifer, isn't a literal monster, but a symbol of human mind, liberation, and the spark that lifts us beyond pure instinct. Some early feminists also used satanic imagery, not because they believed in a devil, but as a provocative way to protest patriarchy. If God is described as a father and his male clergy deny women rights, then siding with the adversary becomes a very bold political metaphor. All of this sets the stage for what comes next: people who openly identify as Satanists. Anton LaVey and the Church of Satan. The most famous turning point comes in the 1960s with Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan. LaVey was a showman, an occult enthusiast, and a critic of traditional religion. In 1966, in San Francisco, right in the middle of counterculture and experimentation, he founded what is often called the first public, organized satanic church. But this is important. LaVey did not believe in a real, supernatural devil. His Satanism is atheistic. For him, Satan is a symbol of rebellion against religious hypocrisy, human nature and instinct, rational self-interest, enjoyment of earthly pleasures. In the Satanic Bible, LaVey describes Satan as representing indulgence instead of abstinence, vital existence instead of spiritual fantasies, and humanity as just another animal, but one that should not feel guilty for desire, ambition, or pride. LaVey's rituals were theatrical: candles, robes, dramatic language, pentagrams. All of that was part of what he called psychodrama. The point wasn't to summon demons, but to create an emotional and psychological impact on the participants, to help them focus their will, confront their desires, or release anger. Not everyone in his orbit agreed with the purely symbolic approach. Some, like Michael Aquino, broke away and formed new groups like the Temple of Set, with a more theistic, spiritual view of their central figure. But overall, atheistic Satanism, where Satan is a metaphor, not a literal being, remains the dominant form of self-identified Satanism in the modern world. Theistic Satanists and the black metal shadow. There are, however, smaller groups and individuals who believe in a real spiritual being called Satan or Lucifer and direct worship or devotion toward him. This is often called theistic Satanism. Sometimes this overlaps with occult traditions that reinterpret Satan as a misunderstood god of knowledge, freedom, or light, especially under the name Lucifer, meaning light-bringer. In other cases, especially in parts of the early 1990s black metal scene in Scandinavia, some individuals embraced Satan as a figure of pure evil and anti-Christian destruction. In Norway, a few people connected to that scene were involved in church burnings and even murders. But we need to be very careful here. These cases are dramatic and often repeated in the media, but they are extremely rare, even among theistic Satanists. And they were happening at the same time as the Satanic Panic, when many completely innocent people were being falsely accused of ritual crimes with no real evidence. So, while these events are part of the story, they are not the whole story, and they certainly do not represent the beliefs or actions of most people who identify with Satanism or Luciferianism. The Satanic Temple, activism, satire, and secularism. Fast forward to the 2010s. In 2013, a new group appears in the headlines, the Satanic Temple. Unlike LaVey's Church of Satan, the Satanic Temple is openly political and activist. They also do not believe in a literal devil. For them, Satan is a symbol of rebellion against tyranny, especially religious tyranny. They promote values like compassion and empathy, justice, scientific understanding, bodily autonomy, separation of church and state. The Satanic Temple is famous for its public campaigns. When a Ten Commandments monument was approved at a state capitol, they proposed a statue of Baphomet, a goat-headed figure associated with occult symbolism, to stand beside it. Their argument was simple. If the government is neutral, it can't privilege one religion over others. They've also been active in legal and symbolic fights around abortion rights, LGBTQ+ rights, and religious freedom. Because their actions are often dramatic and provocative, some critics dismiss them as pure satire. But members insist they are completely serious about their principles, even if they use satire as a tool to expose hypocrisy. Interestingly, the Satanic Temple seems to attract a lot of women and people from marginalized backgrounds, and positions itself as an opponent of Christian nationalism and religious authoritarianism. So, what is Satanism, really? After all of this, you might be asking, okay, but what is Satanism? The honest answer is, it depends who you ask. Historically, Satanism often meant nothing more than the Those people over there are evil, and we hate them. It was a weaponized word used by the powerful to attack others, heretics, witches, minorities, or rivals. In the modern world, the word is more often self-chosen and can refer to atheistic Satanists, like the Church of Satan or the Satanic Temple, who see Satan as a symbol of independence, reason, or rebellion. Theistic Satanists or Luciferians, who believe in a spiritual being called Satan or Lucifer and reinterpret him as a source of knowledge, freedom, or power. A small number of fringe groups that embrace darker or even violent interpretations. The same symbol, Satan, can stand for far-right extremism in some circles and radical progressive activism in others. In the end, this tells us something important. Before we panic about labels, we should always ask, who is using this word? What do they actually believe? And who benefits from turning Satanism into a monster under the bed? If you found this journey through the history of Satan and Satanism interesting, let me know in the comments. Had you heard of the Satanic Panic before? Which part of this story surprised you the most? Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share this with someone who still thinks Satanism is only blood rituals and horror movies. Thank you for watching, and whatever you believe or don't believe, I wish you curiosity, critical thinking, and a peaceful night.